In today's Leeds news, Elland Road announcement, tough road for Gelhardt, potential permanent Kristensen move, Poyet backs Farke, sparks of hope for Aaronson and new deal for James. Morning folks, Stu here, Tuesday morning the 24th of September at The View with your Leeds United news. Hope you're having a good week so far. Hope you have a lovely weekend behind you. 3 points in the bag for Leeds United. We've digested all of the opinion pieces, I suppose, on the season, but we'll get into some more news orientated content today. Also, just to point out, there may be a slight possibility right now that we will be giving away some tickets for Leeds against Cardiff this weekend on the channel. I'm just waiting on one more piece of confirmation. I've been speaking to an agency around Hisense and we're looking at putting a promotion in place. It will happen either in a minute, you'll see a little cut video pop in here of me advertising it, or I'll announce it on Twitter and Instagram as well. So if you're not following me on Twitter, you can do it at IGRLynch, or you can follow me on Instagram at The View, Leeds United The View, and you'll see some details there as well. So keep an eye out for that, but more detail when I get it. Moving into the news, we'll start off with the obvious announcement yesterday of the Elland Road expansion, and a few weeks back Angus Kinnear sat down to speak to the Square Ball and said he would hopefully have some positive news related to an Elland Road announcement and development plans in the coming weeks. Well, we're at that point, and yesterday evening Leeds United announced on their official site that redevelopment plans for Elland Road are in, and we have some detail on what that will potentially look like when it gets started. In the statement, they confirmed that the capacity of the stadium will grow from the current 37,645 to 53,000 roughly, or circa 53,000 all up. A significant increase of general admission tickets will be made available in this stand, as well as increased commercial, which is designed to bring in the additional matchday revenue to help the club to move forward. This will also help to make Leeds the 7th largest club stadium in England, and will move Leeds into a UEFA Category 4 bracket, which refers to clubs in the elite level of European stadia. A core design element of the ground had been maintaining Leeds United's unique atmosphere. Parag Morate has talked extensively about that being a major piece of this puzzle, and they are now working with acoustic engineers to part of the design team to make sure that whatever new version of Elland Road that we see will retain that atmosphere and possibly even enhance the existing atmosphere that the club has. This will all be done in phased construction, similar to what Liverpool have done at Anfield, to avoid any impact to the existing attendance capacity and revenue on match days. There is an expert team in place combining global stadium experience with local specialist knowledge to deliver artist impressions to the planning authority, is the part of the official statement from the club. 26,000 people currently sit on the season ticket waiting list, me included. And I would like to see that come down, and Leeds have said that this will make a major dent in that as well. Also, getting out of the division will be a major factor in that. If Leeds were to languish in this division for a bit longer, it might become a bit trickier to sell tickets at Elland Road. But right now, while the demand is there, Leeds need to get out of the division, and we need to see the club progressing forward. It's a really good time to see this announced for Leeds United, where we are all confident that ahead of this season going into the Premier League, and Leeds will go in with one of the best looking stadiums in England, and actually would be on par with St James's Park. We were talking about this yesterday with Joe, and it's James's Park always looks to me massive, absolutely massive stadium. So Leeds and Elland Road will look incredible. The images that have been on screen are all just artist impressions and just, renders for the sake of content, nothing more. But we'll hopefully get a picture of what it will look like pretty soon. It's been in the pipeline for quite some time. Moving on to talk about a player at Leeds United that's having a pretty tough time of things, and that is Joe Gelhardt. With all the comings and goings at Leeds United over the last 2 summers, it can be easy to forget about a man who has slipped through the cracks and fallen down the pecking order at Leeds United, and that is Joe Gelhardt. Joffy has had a few really challenging years behind him as a Leeds United player, after breaking into the Leeds United side and having some impressive moments as a Premier League player during the 2 seasons that he was in the Leeds side then. But a failed loan spell at Sunderland, followed by last season of injury and illness, have really curtailed his development, and have watched the player fall further and further down the pecking order and become somewhat of a forgotten player in the Leeds United squad. There were some rumours going around during the summer that a move away from Leeds United was likely, and a potential loan move to Plymouth was mooted at one point, but it didn't happen, and Daniel Farke retained Joe Gelhardt as part of his squad. Matteo Joseph, Pat Bamford, Joe Pirro are now all competing for that number 9 spot. And then when you add into that Brendan Aaronson, Willie Gnonto, Ramazani and Solomon from a number 10 capacity, you start to see how tough it is becoming for Joe Gelhardt to force his way into this side. This weekend we saw Joe Gelhardt fall off the Leeds United squad bench completely out of the squad in favour of a return of Pat Bamford. Max Fober and Dan James are also expected to return to that Leeds United bench as well, making it even harder for Joe Gelhardt to establish himself in that squad right now. So what next for Gelhardt? Well, reports around Leeds at the moment are starting to rumble that a rumoured move away from the club could happen as soon as Plymouth. This is very much rumour territory right now, but it does say that the player may want to be playing more football, and Leeds are sitting with a player who is on Premier League wages, albeit with a significant haircut in the Championship, but a player who signed a deal while Leeds were a Premier League club isn't in the current matchday squad and isn't playing any football. From a Leeds perspective, that would need to change, and from a Joffy perspective, and from the most important perspective for me, the player needs to go and play some football, and I want to see Joe Gelhardt playing football again and realise the potential that everyone knows that he has in there. He's just been stuck in this rut with Leeds for the last 2 years, between that really poor loan at Sunderland that just didn't work out for him because of circumstances, and then a really tough year last year with injuries and illnesses. He just hasn't really got running after that initial promise that he showed. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about that one. Do you wish? I want Joe Gelhardt to make it as a footballer. I really do. That's all I want to see. So whether it's at Leeds or somewhere else, I want to see the player go and have a fantastic career, and I hope for him he can do that pretty soon. Let me know in the comments what you think, though. I'm interested to see what everyone's view on Joffy's situation is right now. Moving on to a player that's away from Leeds United right now, but could be away from the club on a more permanent basis. This time last season, Robin Koch was at Eintracht Frankfurt on loan. Played very well in the early parts of the season, and Frankfurt moved at the earliest opportunity at Christmas to make Robin Koch's move a permanent one with the club. Why is that important? Well, Rasmus Christensen's time at Eintracht Frankfurt right now is going really, really well, and rumblings in Germany suggest that Frankfurt may now be considering making a permanent move for the player. Kristensen is one of the players outside of maybe Jack Harrison that most Leeds fans would universally agree probably doesn't have a future at the club anymore. And when Kristensen moved out on loan, the deal to Frankfurt didn't include a loan fee, but did include a £15 million option to buy, which I think most of us at that time laughed at. We've seen this happen with Mark Roca and with Diego Llorente as well. Nobody was paying £15 million for Rasmus Christensen, but Kicker in Germany confirmed that Leeds wouldn't receive a penny for this loan outside of that option. Christensen will have 12 months left on his deal at Leeds United at the end of this season, and Leeds will probably look to get a sale of the player as soon as they can, and should the opportunity come to sell the player in January, you would imagine Leeds would bite their hand off and will likely discount that £15 million asking price in order to offload the player. According to Football News in Germany, they are claiming that Frankfurt are keen to lower Leeds' asking price and make the move for the player a permanent one as soon as possible. They rate and value Rasmus Christensen at in and around £10.8 million according to this report. Leeds want £15 million. You would likely understand that most Leeds fans would take the £10.8 million right now, take the £800,000 profit on Christensen and move on from that. It would be likely that that's what will happen. Leeds will take some form of a discount, or they'll meet in the middle on this one if they can get this deal done. But from a fan's perspective, I think we'd all be very keen to see this one come to an end. Leeds bring in some money for the player and Christensen move on. The £15 million option never looked likely to be paid in full. We've seen it happen before, and now with the reduction looking like that could be in place, that kind of suggests the same we saw with Bettis from Roma last year. This deal was put in place, but they had no intention of paying it. Now they want the player, they want them for slightly less than they initially agreed. So we'll see how that one plays out. If his form continues to go the way it's going, he'll be likely moving. So let's hope that continues. Daniel Farke has been under a little bit of pressure in the last couple of weeks, and Gustavo Poyet, the former Leeds United coach, has been speaking about the situation and basically says that Farke just needs a little bit more time. On the topic, Poyet said the following: "You have to trust the manager. He's lost Archie Gray and others. They need a solid base to improve on results, and this is his chosen way. I'm sure that they'll get it right and challenge at the end of the season." Leeds' next 5 games are not ideal viewing if you're a manager under pressure, but alternatively could send a real signal out to the rest of the league should you get positive results in those games. Leeds' next up is a home game at Coventry, followed then by 2 away trips to Norwich and Sunderland, and then after the international break, Leeds return to Sheffield United and Watford, a run of games that will very much dictate where Leeds will sit in the hierarchy amongst their promotion rivals so far. A strong performance in these set of results could really position Leeds ahead of the pack and in a very strong position, and send a message out to the rest of the league that this Leeds team is going somewhere. A set of bad results could put some serious pressure on the manager's future, and that's always likely to happen this year, with the pressure of expectation being very much in place this year. But we hope that these matches will see Leeds get that run going, knock off a couple of wins against opposition that are likely to be there come the end of the season, and move them out of the way and set a marker to the rest of the teams in the league. Moving on to a piece that Graham Smith has done today in the Yorkshire Evening Post around Brendan Aaronson, and it's an interesting piece that might surprise a few people around some of the areas of Aaronson's games this season that have popped up, including his ability in the air, which for a 5'10", not big enough to compete in this league player, make good viewing. In the piece, Graham is careful just to mind everyone's expectations, saying that 6 games isn't really a big enough sample set to judge a player off of, and that a longer lengthy period of stats would likely be a better judgment of his season. As an example in this, Smith points out that Pascal Struijk is Leeds United's current leader in XG, not an attacker, very much a centre-back. But Smith also notes then that you have to look at Aaronson and the data now, and the message and the picture that it's starting to paint is interesting, and it's starting to show some of the areas that we heard about Aaronson before he came to Leeds. Areas such as scoring goals, getting assists, defence, splitting passes, high work rate in the final third. All areas that we've seen Aaronson work really hard on so far since he's come back to Leeds. In the air, though, has been one of the question marks. His physicality. He's put on a little bit of weight. People have mocked it, but it seems to be showing some dividend for the player. Aaronson had 3 aerial duels against Cardiff, winning 2 of them. He had 2 aerial duels against Burnley, winning both of them. Not bad for a player who's seen as too small. He also has 2 goals and 2 assists in 6 games so far this season in the number 10 position, a position we keep being told we don't have a natural player to play in, and yet Aaronson has had 4 goal involvements in 6 games, and that's direct goal involvements outside of the pass before the assist, if you know what I mean. Aaronson, though, is only 6 games into a 46-game season, so more context is needed. Form, fitness and consistency will be key metrics for the player this year if he is to maintain this, and if we are to be sitting here at the end of the season talking about a successful season for Brendan Aaronson. But so far, so good in terms of goals and assists. He's on the board and he's moving. He's already beaten his entire season tally last season for Union Berlin. So far, positive move for Aaronson, and long may that continue. And then to finish off today, finally, with some very, very good news around a potential new deal for Daniel James. According to reports, Leeds are keen to extend the contract of Dan James beyond his current deal and keep him at the club. James' current deal expires at Elland Road in 2026, and Leeds value the player and want to avoid any issues that could pop up in the last 18 months of his deal. Leeds are keen to see James commit his long-term future to the club. Now, there's no reports as to how the player feels about this, but the player did buy a house in Leeds 2 years ago, and last year was reported as being very settled in the area. I'm sure the Welsh lads being amongst the place helps him there as well. Don't forget to keep an eye on the social media. Ger Lynch on Twitter, or look up Leeds United The View on Instagram. Follow those channels. You will see some information pop up around the ticket giveaway that will likely be in tomorrow's video, so keep an eye out for that. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. You can check out the review with the lads yesterday down below, and I will see you tomorrow for more Leeds news. See you then.